The biggest issue with any sort of Kundalini kind of energy coming into the system is you get high. But getting high can sometimes be a bit of a problem. So, what's the problem with getting high, right? Getting high feels good, huh? And we can get high in many different ways, especially after a Kundalini awakening. Then there can be a temptation to go into other forms of highs to try and chase that bliss that we experienced from that first introductory Kundalini experience. But it comes with its own problems, and they're linked to a few things, and the first one is preferences. And strong preferences, because they will become a large limitation on your path. And before we dive into the preferences, I just want to bring your attention down below to the free Freedom Toolkit. It's a starter pack for your journey. It's going to give you some sadhana and some lectures and some mindset training, and it's free. I want you to have it. I've made it for you. I've put the effort in to do it, so if you want to use it, it's there for you. You're more than welcome to. Also, down below, you can apply for the Freedom Blueprint if you want that. It's a paid product day, and this is for that person that's ready to get the right training, the right sadhana to be able to really shift their life trajectory and take charge of their destiny. Now, preferences. So we get high, huh? We get that juicy bliss, ecstasy, perhaps of an experience. Then naturally what happens is the body needs to readjust itself. Imagine like a scale, huh? You go real high. Well, of course, in a way, the body has to balance that, and we see that in addiction too, the way that the body has to naturally rebalance it, and there's some science behind this as well as to why the body needs this homeostasis. Unfortunately, that science is not coming to my mind right now, but it's out there and you can Google it. If you want to Google something like to do with addiction and rebalancing, coming into homeostasis inside of ourselves, that's why sometimes it becomes, for an addict, very hard to quit certain things, because the pain has to be there too, because we're rebalancing the high and the amount of dopamine that the system is really not ready for, because our minds are primitive and they're too primitive to be having that amount of dopamine in the system. So it seems like I did know the science a little bit, but if you're interested, you can look for more. Now it's the same really, because we're a biological process. This body is a human animal, and it's a biological process. And of course we can open up extra dimensions inside of ourselves, but it'll just be a flash in the pan, and then we'll come back to the human animal or the egoic self too. And we'll continue to go back and then come back. And it's like this. This is how the journey goes. We're pulsing with our experience. And why is our preferences a problem? Because it links to attachment, doesn't it? So let's just dive a little bit deeper. You can have preference attachment, something that you really like, or you can have aversion attachment, where you hide away from something that you really don't like. And these are both linked inside of the system to a thing called samskaras. Samskaras are basically a wound, a trauma inside of the system that allows us to, but that can be a positive trauma, like, oh, I really like that, and so we go towards that more often than is healthy, or I really didn't like this experience and therefore I try and stay away from all of that. Both of which are attachment, and both of which, because they're either a preference or an aversion, hold power over you. We're giving our power away to this external thing, or maybe even an internal thing that could be a blissful experience. That then, at some point in your journey, is going to become a severe limitation, because you'll see you can't be high all the time. You can do certain things to make the body feel amazing, and that's true, and you can do fasting, you can get your nutrition right, and all of this is perfectly fine, and I'll be making some more videos on them at a later date. And if you're interested in that, you can let me know down below, because I need to know, isn't it? I need to know if I'm speaking about the right stuff. So if I prefer something hugely, then I become addicted to it. And I try with all of my might, my will, and my control. I use my willpower to try and create more and more of those experiences. But of course, when it comes to Kundalini, for example, those experiences aren't in our control. If you're going to pop off, you're going to pop off and you're going to go bang. But that wasn't in your control, and you'll know it if you've had that experience. Now, as we develop our yogic self and our yogic practices, of course, more and more often we're going to be feeling, because that Kundalini energy will be gradually building in the system again, which is the really safe and best way to do it, is a gradual process. But if you did have a big blast, don't worry, it was destiny and it was meant to happen. But if I'm addicted to that, I'm causing myself huge problems, aren't I? And then my spirituality will never go beyond the things that I like. This is the problem with getting high. And then we can train ourselves into getting high with other things because we feel that void inside when we're not full of Kundalini energy or full of a wonderful energy inside. And so this is really important to note. Getting high, not a good thing. Well, it can be in moderation, but not all of the time, because that seemingly is where the spiritual journey takes us. Because we want to be high all the time, don't we? But it doesn't work like that. It can't work like that. We've got lots of karma to process, and this biological animal needs to come back to homeostasis. It must. It's law. Balance is the law. Maybe we could create a new law, the law of balance. We've not even created it. It's like the law of gravity. You don't see it, but you know the effect of it. Same in us, law of balance. If we don't bring things back into balance, things can start going wrong. Firstly with our health, but also with our spiritual path, because getting high is not that great. And so what does it mean then for us if we are wanting to get high all of the time? Well, sometimes the best teaching is just this. Gulp. Because we know it's not sustainable, isn't it? If you go to the top of the mountain, you've got to come back down again. So gulp if you have to. And recognize that perhaps not getting what you want all of the time is actually the best thing for you. And there can be some sacredness in that, because then you realize I'm not in control, and whatever comes with to me is designed for me, is designed for me to become the superhero of that thing that I'm moving through, so that I can be that which I'm really designed to be by life. Life created your blueprint, didn't it? Did you do it? Some people are going to say, yes, I did. And it's like, well, did you remember it? So we've got to be honest with ourselves and say, I didn't make this body. I didn't make this life. I don't make the oceans and the fish and everything perfectly work in divine order. Something else does that. But that something else is what I am. We are this nature. We are this larger awareness inside. And so one of the biggest teachings from getting high can teach us, and then not being high, is to be able to step back a little bit from those moving aspects of myself, meaning high, low. Well, it's all observed from that deeper space, isn't it? So the biggest teaching from getting high and then getting low is to not be involved or identified with those things that move, isn't it? So we can open up that deeper awareness inside of ourselves and be committed and connected to that. You always are, but not consciously. We can be more consciously connected to that, because the pain of getting high and then losing it and going low again is too much to handle. And it's not in balance, and therefore it's not in alignment with my path. And if I'm continually, stepping out of alignment with that which I truly am and nature's intention, then nature's going to let me know about it, and that could be painful. So here's to going beyond getting high. It's wonderful, don't get me wrong, and if it happens, don't reject it. But we've got to, in a way, not give a flying fart how I feel, which is tough, isn't it, sometimes? Because at the start of the journey, we're all into yummy spirituality. Yeah, let's get high and reject everything here that's earthly. And it's like, yeah, cool, that'll work for a while. But then you'll come back to earth and speak to people in your experience of life, and they'll bring you down, and then you'll start blaming them. And it's like, well, this was all conditional highness then, wasn't it? Your conditional highness. Don't we want to become unconditionally high in a way that's not getting high or getting low? It's just, I am this. You see? So here's to us perhaps getting a bit tough with ourselves. And we can even call it this, perhaps, because this is what I'm doing at the moment. Maybe we can go on a dopamine fast. Huh? We can fast with food, can't we? Wonderful. We can do intermittent fasting. But why not fast from dopamine? This way you're going to replenish your body's reserves in a big, big way. And for longevity's sake, isn't that a wonderful thing to be able to do? To be able to delay your gratification, to be able to be so focused and receiving your dopamine from the process of living rather than from the goal of getting high or getting something to get high or being successful then getting high off of that. It's a dangerous path. Trust me, I know it because I've tried it. So here's to us bringing ourselves back into balance. Take it or leave it, regardless. Love you lots. Namaste.